Hello, so this video is going to be creating a listing template. We're just going to quickly create a listing template in Transaction Desk. So here you are on the main dashboard, and you're going to go to Settings on the left-hand side, the gears, and then you're going to click Transaction Templates about halfway down. And here, depending on what you have already created, you might not see anything, or you might see your purchase contract template in there. So you're just going to click Add on the top right, that little plus button. Name it. So I'm going to name it Listing Residential. The type is a residential listing. And I'm going to click Save. So that starts it. We're going to skip over detail, and we're going to skip over the checklist because we don't have any checklist created in our Transaction Desk at this point. Contacts is next. If you want to add a contact into your template, that's somebody that you would easily want to copy on here. If you have the same escrow officer on here, you might want to add them as contacts. But otherwise, for the most part, you're probably not going to add a contact into your templates. Next is going to be documents. So we are going to add our documents in here for the affiliated business disclosure is required on every single transaction. So we are going to at least upload that into the template. Here, this is going to be what document you want added to each transaction. So I don't recommend adding everything that you could ever want. I would only recommend adding things that you're going to use every time. So if you have a document that you use every time with your listings, whether it be like a different agreement or listing staging acknowledgement or things like that, you can add them into here. For MyHomeGroup, they require that affiliated business disclosure every time. So for sure, you're going to want to add that one in there. So I'm just dragging and dropping it from where I have it saved in my computer to add it into here. So in order to get that into Transaction Desk, you need to download it from My Agent Portal and download it onto your computer and then upload it into Transaction Desk. So that's what I just did. I took it from where I had it saved on my computer or in my shared drive, and I uploaded it into Transaction Desk. Okay, there is another video that shows how to replace these documents when they are updated. So that's the only one I'm going to add in here for listings. You can add more than one, as I mentioned, but that's all I'm going to show you. So forms is next. Forms are provided to you because you are a realtor. So then we're going to click this add button, the little plus over on the right hand side of forms, and it pops up your list of what forms you have access to. So I'm just going to start typing in that exclusive. And I'm going to look for the exclusive right. The agency is always the first one that pops up, so make sure you don't choose agency. I'm going to look for that exclusive right. And this one's land and lot, so make sure you don't do the land or the multiple dwellings or the business opportunity. We're going to go to this one that's exclusive right to sell rent. That one is the correct one. And then I am going to keep searching for all the documents I want. So every time I select one, this basket gets bigger up here. You want to keep that number going up as you select them. So I'm going to look for the agency next. And we're looking for this real estate agency and disclosure for seller. So I've checked that. Now the number 1 to 2. The other things, advisory. So I'm going to look for a market conditions advisory and a wire fraud advisory. Those are both required. So I have those two there. Now, at this point, it's more of an option of what you want to add into your template. I like to add in here the main ones that we normally will need to have. So, of course, we're going to need a SPUDS, so I'm going to add that. And then HOA addendum. This is case by case, but more often than not, there is an HOA. So I am going to add this to my template here. You can also add a lead-based pane addendum if you wanted to at this point. I'm not going to add that because more often than not, we don't need it. And it is pretty simple to add it once you're in the transaction and have created it. I don't want to add it into the template because it adds it to every transaction, and then we might accidentally have the seller sign that when it is not applicable. So I'm going to attach the HOA and the SPUDs because those are the most common ones. You can add other addenda in here if you want to at this point, but right now I'm only going to do these 6 because that's what I like to add into the templates. All right, so we've added all our forms in here. So the next thing we need to do is fill them out. So we're going to pull up this exclusive right, and we're going to start filling this in. Firm name. We're going to leave agent's name blank because it'll automatically add that in when we add ourselves as the listing agent. I'm going to click sell. And then I am going to go down to commission. The rest of the stuff, as you notice, I'm skipping all the stuff that changes every single time. We're only filling in the stuff that's going to stay the same every single time. So you can choose to fill in commission if you want here. If you do normally always charge a certain amount, so let's say you always charge 6% and you're always giving 3% to the buyer broker. If that is a more often than not, I would fill that in. It is easy to go in and change that in the transaction when you're actually creating the ER that you're going to be using. You can change it at that time. So this is just a general template, and I like to fill that in. And then I like to fill in all of these numbers here. Line 53, I'm going to put 90. Again, put what you prefer. After expiration, I'm going to put 90. And then as you go down to appliances, we're going to leave that blank because that changes. I do see some agents put on here like other, and they would say appliances to be negotiated in purchase contract so that the seller see that. So you can put that in your template. I'm going to delete that because I don't want that in my template. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to say yes. Almost all my sellers do sign, photos, lockbox, or authorized to disclose offers. So those are always a yes most of the time. So I'm going to put in my template. If you change that per offer or per contract, then you might not want to fill those out on your templates. And then line 160, if anything's applicable. So most of the time, except backup offers is applicable. And so I like to just put that in my template. All right. So if there's any additional terms in here that you use a lot of the time, at this point, you can go ahead and add those into your template. This is only if you want it to apply to every single ER that you do. So a lot of times people do put in here that it doesn't have to be put in MLS. So you can say owner directs listing agent not to put in MLS until further written notice. So this is one of the most common ones that I see because this prevents you from having to get an MLS within 2 days of signing it. So you can put that in there. This is going to show up as soon as you apply this template to every listing that you're drafting documents for. So keep that in mind. If you want to add a couple more things, you can go ahead and do that at this time. We're going to scroll down. And the next thing that we're going to fill in is line 276. You're a member of a board. So put your board in. I'm going to put we serve because that's what I am. And then you definitely put in the board that you're a part of. And then I'm going to put in my contact information here. So, and then, all right. And this ER is completely filled out. I'm going to click save and exit on the top right. And then the next thing I'm going to fill out is I'm going to go back to forms, fill out this real estate agency disclosure. Firm name up here. Again, it'll fill in the licensee name when we add ourselves to the transaction, so I'm going to leave those blank. Seller, I'm going to check box 42 and 43, and then seller on 46. Now, the way that I filled out that agency disclosure, that makes it so that we don't have to open and fill that out again. when we're doing any listing paperwork because it's already filled out. So the only thing that we will need to open and fill out is this ER to fill in the details. But the rest of the stuff doesn't have any fill on the advisories, and they will just sign it. The SPUDs, again, we're not filling anything out on that. And the HOA, those are documents that you will send to the seller. So we're going to not fill anything in at this point and leave it. So that means your template is completely set up and you're ready for a listing once you have all those. Then you can apply your template when you get a listing, and the documents will already be applied at that point. So there's, of course, further steps if you have additional documents that you want to add, and you can find those in additional videos, training videos, or going to a transaction desk class. I am Tay Lopez with Powerhouse TC, so if you have questions, definitely reach out to me as well. Thank you.